And welcome to another episode of the Convoluted Podcast. It's your host, Jesus, aka Tyrant Dominus, and today we have one of our first Reddit guests. I recently posted up an ad on Reddit. One of my buddies told me that's how he was getting his guest, and luckily I've gotten an abundant amount of people. And today, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Anthony. I responded to the Reddit ad. I was in, I think, the podcasting subreddit, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm looking to do pretty much the same thing you're doing, so I figured I might as well get on some podcasts and see how they work.
All right. Then there you go. So what do you currently do?
So I work in the Bay Area, San Jose. I'm a network engineer. I'm a contractor. I bartend on the weekends, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, interesting. You must have some really interesting stories as far as bartending.
I do, yes. The bartending scene, it's a fun one.
Mostly since you're down in the Bay Area. One of my buddies lives actually down there, and he's the way he describes the areas. It's like every section is kind of their own little part of town, and they're each in their own each distinguishable than the other. So, how would you say the Bay Area compares to some other parts of California?
Well, it's definitely become a lot more dense, and your buddy's right. You know, every area is distinguishable from the other. And I don't have the most experience as far as bartending in this area. I actually just moved from a really big party school called S.W.A.T.
Oh, okay.
So that's where most of my bartending experience was. I've been bartending a little bit here in the Bay Area for now, but I can attest more to the party school bartending, and that's where you really get to see all the fun aspects of the game, of the bar industry itself.
Interesting. I have a few questions, but beforehand, what made you move to California then?
So I'm actually originally from California. I don't know if you know a small town called Gilroy.
Not off the top of my head.
I'm not quite sure. Where are you from again?
Up north in Oregon.
Okay. So I'm from a town called Gilroy. It's about, I'm not sure if you know San Jose.
I know the general area, yes.
Okay, yeah. So it's just a little south of the Bay. We don't really call ourselves Bay Area in Gilroy, but it's close enough to where if you want to feel cool, you call yourself, you're from the Bay if you're from Gilroy. Anyway, so I ended up moving up to Chico, which is about 4 hours north, and it does have that reputation for being a big party school. And I had my time there, I had a lot of fun. And, I just kind of got over it. It's kind of inland a little bit, so you're not near the water or anything. So I ended up moving back after about 7 years. I lived up there. I was doing the same thing up there as I am down here. The reason I moved back, though, is because Silicon Valley is the place to be if you're going to be working in any type of tech. So here I am. And I've been living back here for about a couple months now.
Okay. No, and I can attest to that, being in mostly in the on the West Coast. Like, that's really where you need to be. Like, this whole area is just nothing but tech air, and I can attest to that. And
yeah, actually, I have this weird theory, and let me know what you think of it. But we obviously have our our dense Silicon Valley, and I'm sure you know that they can't house all the people that are working in the area, so people start flocking other directions, right? And as far as California is concerned, you could only go so far west until you hit the water, and you can only go so far east until you get into boring Nevada. So I have this theory that people are just going north and south, and that's how it's kind of expanding up. And for some reason, to me, it feels like they're going more north, up to Oregon and Washington. And I mean, you guys have Amazon up there, and a couple other big tech companies, if I'm not mistaken.
No, yeah. I'm actually applying to a couple of jobs in near where I live in the Portland area, and there I've been even edging to move up to Seattle, where there's a lot more. While I was going to school, they were always pushing the Northwest as like the tech industry, or overall the West Coast in general, because I've been offered a few jobs down in California, but well, I think you can agree that the housing is not the best down there, and I have a few friends and family that can agree with me on that.
Absolutely, yeah. The place I'm in, I got pretty lucky, and I live. It's probably about a 40-minute commute to work. But I mean, I know people that do over 2 hours a day easily.
Oh, ouch, man.
And it's just insane. I just read an article the other day about somebody who works in San Francisco, and he commutes, I think, about 4 hours.
Oh my God.
4 hours each way or something like that. It was an article. Someone jumped on it, but that's insane. And I hope that never happens to me, but we'll see.
Oh God. No, yeah, just like when that's a little depressing when you're literally spending 8 hours of your day just to get to work. Like, depending on how much actual work you're doing at your job, if it's your typical 40-hour job, you're spending, oh God, like where's the time to sleep? Where's the
exactly
time to be
and
yourself?
you're probably on like the most strict routine of your entire life.
God.
And for anyone that has like a family and does that, like, more power to them. I don't know how they do it. And I also think the majority of people that actually do make those big sacrifices for long commutes are hopefully in it for short term, right? They're looking at a bigger picture.
No, yeah,
biting the bullet a little bit.
but it's not the best times. But,
yeah, I don't envy them.
No, I do not. But shoot, I lost track of what I was going to ask you. But no, as far as the tech industry, is that what you were studying back when you were going to school?
So my schooling is not anything to be talked about or looked at, but I'll give you the general gist.
Go for it.
And that is, I was about 17 when I graduated as a senior, and I didn't really have a plan or anything, so I just assumed I would go to the local community college in the area, and I started doing that. I didn't really have a passion for what I do now yet. It was more of a hobby on the side, and it took a couple years for some friends to kind of bang it in to my head that I should probably be working with computers, and I still decided to ignore that. I don't know why, but I moved up to Chico. I was doing school in between, and I took a few programming classes, networks, stuff like that, but nothing. I was never too serious about school. It was more about being in the workforce. So I worked a lot. I managed a bar. I bartended. And then I finally realized, like, I'm just going to have to eventually get my stuff together. I don't want to work at this place forever. I don't want to live in this city forever. So I kind of got myself together. I decided, what I wanted to do. I reached out. I got an internship, and I worked 28 hours without pay with like a 30-minute commute to and from for the county. And I was a IT technician intern. And so I was doing that while I was bartending, and then I finally found a place where I got a job. So I know the initial question was about school, but it's kind of leading up to it. So I'm finally, in the tech industry. Then I realized I want to do this and leave, come back to the Bay Area. So now I'm here in the Bay Area. And now my next step is, since I'm kind of solidified here, is hopefully go back to online university and just finish up my bachelor's in cybersecurity. So I'm kind of on track to do that, and hopefully it works out.
No, you did a lot of great steps.
I'm on the 10-year plan.
Yeah, you did bounce, had a few hiccups in the beginning, but you finally settled in, and you even got your foot in a place to kind of have that work mentality of the technical field, but you still have that other management as well added onto that.
Yeah, that is a good back burner on the resume.
So like more power to you. I'm actually kind of in the I'm in the same area where you're at. I'm actually halfway through my cybersecurity before my schooling kind of stopped recently. Um, I talked about this in the last podcast. I was in that whole debacle with IT team, so that kind of screwed up my plans.
What do you mean? You were in the program and then
Yes, I was.
you left?
No. The school closed down. All the schools, all the ITT techs closed down.
Oh, wow. Oh, you're talking about ITT Technical Institute, right?
Yeah, that whole
Oh, wow.
fiasco.
So they closed. I didn't hear anything about that.
Oh, really? Just to kind of do a quick thing before, so we don't go too deep into it. Basically, just it was a whole federal thing that was happening with loans and shit. And I was halfway through my cybersecurity, and I was luckily enough to finish two other associates beforehand before I got into it. So I do have some knowledge. Like I do have the skills, and I have a few degrees. But I was hoping to finish my bachelor's because you know how the employers really look for that those titles.
Exactly, and that was one of the biggest pains of I don't. My entire philosophy, always from the beginning, which was why I'd never had much motivation to focus on school, was that I always wanted to prove that I could do it without school, and that you don't necessarily need, the formal college education like everyone did. Because I have countless friends that they go to university for 4 years and they get out and they're working at the local Starbucks because they realize, one, they can't do anything with an art degree. Not to hate on art degrees, it's just an example. But two, maybe they weren't really passionate about it in the first place. So I'm kind of happy that I waited and found out what I actually really wanted to do before. Because when I initially signed up to go to JC, I was in like business administration, which is like the most general major you could pick. So that's kind of my take on that.
No, yeah, that's true. It's sometimes when you're going to like a traditional 4 year school, some people are still trying to figure that stuff out, and on that point where you were trying to kind of prove to yourself that you could do it without a college degree. I actually know a buddy who is in the technical field, has no degrees, but he's one of the highest admins in one of the companies he's at, and it's a really big company. The only thing he like started like bottom of the barrel, entry level, made his way up. All he has are certifications and all the things, all that. Like
Right.
honestly, in our field, in the technical field, certifications kind of speak a little bit more, but it's nice to have for the resume that the bachelor is on it.
Yeah. So my understanding of all that is because a lot of employers are looking for experience, and a certification kind of, it doesn't give you experience, but it lets them know that you know your stuff. It's not you passed a class or something like that. Because
Yes.
if anyone who's taken a certification course, I have my A+ right now working on my Linux Plus and Network Plus, but anyone who's taken those tests knows that they're no joke. And
No.
you don't want to waste your, it's a lot cheaper. You don't want to waste your $300 per test or, whatever it may be, and then have to go and take it again. Because I just remember that being the most excruciating, like 90 minutes of my life. And then,
Hey, that's basically just a clumped down version of work. It's just like this is everything in one point.
yeah. But anyway, back to the bachelor's thing. I know people that have their bachelor's and they would go to get a job, and someone would take somebody with experience or certifications over the bachelor's because the bachelor's doesn't prove any experience. And so these guys are like, well, how do I get experience? I just got out of university. And they're like, oh, well, you should have been interning in the meantime and all this stuff. And it's just a big, it's kind of, can I cuss on here?
No, yeah, you're more.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, it's just a big shit show. Like, because the people that have the certifications, they get in the door no problem. But then when it comes time to maybe get promoted or maybe get to a managerial level, that's when the bachelors will kick in and overrank you. And this is just all anecdotal that I've read and felt in my industry. So
I can actually attest to that. So I have two associates, but most people won't hire me just for basic entry level jobs, like the ones I'm trying to apply to, because like I'm at a point where I can't really take too much of a pay cut to sustain myself in the area. So I'm looking for jobs that I can take a reasonable pay cut and I won't have to worry about, well, living.
Exactly. Yeah. No one wants to worry about that.
Exactly. But most of those jobs are always looking for experience, and most of my experience is in the retail industry. And like I can't afford to dip into the bottom of the barrel for a simple tech position where I'll be making minimum wage and just literally surviving. And
Of course. Yeah. Like just being the tier 1 help desk
exactly,
associate. Yeah.
it sucks like that. I get it. I get that they're looking for someone with experience, and
Of
it
course they
makes
have to, but with any job, you're going to have all the experience in the world, and once you get there, you're going to have to relearn their entire system. So it kind of doesn't make the most sense, right? They might be better just getting someone in from the beginning, someone that doesn't have a lot of experience, and then kind of molding them to fit
exactly.
their model. But
Yeah,
all
yeah,
higher managers are different. So
yeah. You got fresh hands, and they learn your network and how your system works, and you go from there.
exactly, they're not going to disobey their managers or their
Like
system admins.
like it was easier. Like in my last store, I did. I mean, at my last company, I was doing this and made things easier, and then tell you, no, you have to do it this way. But no, do it this way. Like okay, but
No, I hear you, man.
but that is that. So, um, see here. Let's kind of transition a little bit. So what made you pick up bartending while you were attending school?
So the reason I actually moved to Chico was, one, to get out of the house.
Makes sense.
Two, my best friend, his name's Ivan. He just asked me one day. He's like, "Hey, like, do you want to move to Chico?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, I was like serving restaurants at the time. I was serving this nice restaurant, and just kind of a little stagnant, not doing much. And so I was like, you know what, that'd be a nice change. Saved a bunch of money, and then we just moved to Chico. It's super cheap to live up there. If anyone knows Chico, and it ended up being an overall good experience. When I got there, one of my other really good buddies, his name's John. He got me a job as a kitchen. It's kind of like this is like a college bar / restaurant.
Okay.
And basically what it is like you go up to like the food window and you order, and then we call your name out and like you come pick it up. So basically everyone's back there doing whatever it is they do. And I was one of those. So you start off like washing dishes, making salads, grilling burgers, calling out food, and then you kind of move up through the ranks. So I did that, and then after a year I was like, hey, just to let you guys know, I have management experience. I know you need a manager. So then the next week they put me on as manager, pissed everyone off. And there was still because people work there for like years, and then they finally get the bar back, and then that's another couple of years, and they finally get to bartend, and then so like people got super pissed, and then so since I was a manager, I immediately was thrown onto bartending, and that's where you make the real money.
Ooh,
And,
okay.
yeah, exactly. Like no one even wanted to be a manager there. They only use that as like a stepping stone to go bartend, and then you want to manage as little as possible, but still have the title. But anyway, so that threw me into bartending, and then I don't know if there's anyone that bartends that just absolutely hates it, because I love bartending. I love pouring drinks, like making people happy, making tips, obviously. It's just like a big party, and you're not blacked out. I don't know.
Mostly
you're making money instead of spending money, but you're still at the party. I don't know. It's pretty cool deal.
No, I get the gist. Mostly when I get that feeling when I throw my party in the beginning, because you bring the people and you're just having fun, you're just hosting it, and then you're lucky that you don't get the aftermath of the second half of the party where you're like half wasted, but you're still enjoying.
I mean, sometimes maybe we got there a little bit, but no, I mean this was on like the top college bars list like a few times.
No, yeah, because
this is like a great place, and it was at one of the biggest party schools in the country, and So it was a lot of fun to work there. And so that's
Yeah.
kind of what got me on the hook. And then I started bartending other places. I started doing private events. And now I just like to keep at it as like a little side hustle to make some extra money. Because I could go bartend on a Friday night tonight or, this week and make like $300. And that's just cash in your pocket.
Whew, I'm not gonna lie, that sounds good.
And then any bartender, worth their salt isn't going to claim any of that if they know what they're doing. So you tax free. Maybe I shouldn't say this on a podcast, but yeah.
I don't think the government's looking at mine anytime soon.
Not yet.
But no, you see, that was also another interesting thing is mostly in the area you were starting your craft. It must have been interesting, and you had to probably learn slightly faster.
Yeah, it was a little interesting, but people are patient, and sometimes people order something and you won't know what it is, but neither will they. They're just trying to be cool or whatever it is they're doing, and then I give it to them and they drink it and they're like, oh, this is amazing. I'm like, cool, there's no alcohol in there. Like,
oh my god, that's
just
funny.
little things like that. And but yeah, no, it's definitely a learning experience. But once you get down and I also have to say really quick that it was a college bar. It wasn't the nice fine dining restaurant that I was serving at before. It was a college bar, so people were ordering like AMFs, vodka sodas, whiskey cokes, fruity drinks, beer, pitchers of beer. So I'm not making Manhattans and old fashions, martinis like every 5 seconds. So
no, I was gonna ask you, what was like the top 3 drinks you had to always make?
oh well, I mean those were pretty much then the ones I made.
Yeah,
And,
that's what I was gonna ask.
Those are pretty much it. But then when I start going to more like I worked at this place here actually in the Bay Area for a couple weeks, and literally every other drink I'm making is like a Manhattan, and all these like more wealthy people that'll pay more for a drink and tip more, but they also expect it to be good and they don't want you screwing around or anything. It's not so much like a fun party at that point.
Then here's a good question. Then what would you say as a bartender you would feel there's something that people don't understand when making a drink for someone?
Well, I mean, there's two sides of the coin, right? Like I could throw you an old fashioned together in about 10 seconds if I have, my well set up correctly. But it's most likely that the person ordering an old fashioned cares about their cocktail because, if you do it right, a lot goes into it and you want to make it right. But if like a freshly 21-year-old that doesn't know much about alcohol, they just heard the name and want to try it, you go and take 5 minutes to make their drink, they're gonna be pissed and be like, oh, I'm not gonna tip this guy, like he's taking forever. And it's like, well, dude, like, I'm trying to be a mixologist over here, not just your casual bartender.
Interesting. So I actually had a friend of mine who recently quit her job, and she was thinking of getting into that industry. What would be something you would like give someone who like is thinking about becoming a mixologist / bartender?
Well, first of all, I would never call myself a mixologist. I just kind of say that for fun.
It is fun. I'm not gonna lie.
There's all these names
just fun.
for. I would never personally. I'm also not that good at that, right? Like I'm not all into the different flavors and aromas. Like I'm not, when it comes to bartending, my specialties come in like volume and like speed and like having a good time and making a lot of money. You know what I mean? I'm not going to spend like 20 minutes on a drink. And so I kind of dabbled a little bit in that realm, but it just wasn't my favorite. Anyway, as far as advice goes, it's kind of one of those things you have to learn on the job, right? And this is another, I don't know if you'd consider it a paradox, but this is one of those things where you're going to go to an employer and be like, hey, I want a bartender. And they're going to be like, oh, well, I want somebody with experience. And it's like, oh, well, I went to bartending school. And they're going to be like, okay, that's fine, but I want somebody who's worked in a bar for 10 years. So it's hard to say, it's hard to tell somebody, go get experience. And it's like, well, how do I get experience if no one will hire me because everybody else wants experience? It's like, well, you might have to bite the bullet for a little bit and be a busser, then be a server, then be a barback, then be a bartender. But who knows? Everyone has a different journey. But definitely make that known to your employer. Nobody's going to come up to you and be like, "Hey, do you want to bartend?" I mean, maybe on the off chance someone will, but I definitely had to make it known to some of my people, like, "Hey, I want to be behind the bar, and like I want to do this." And you have to be proactive, and if opportunity arises, you got to jump on that, because bartenders are drinkers too, so they get hungover and we call in sick. So if you have an opportunity to cover a bar shift, always do it.
There you go. Just basically take the initiative when you get the chance.
Exactly.
Nice, good words. Overall, those are good words. And yeah, in any field, it's sometimes experience over paper knowledge. So
also, yeah, just real quick, like, just be your own bartender, right? So go to parties, like make people drinks, and learn yourself on the side. So when the time comes and you're talking to an employer in an interview and they're asking what kind of experience you have, you're like, well, I didn't work at technically behind a bar at a restaurant, but I have parties, I buy my ingredients, this is what I have, this is what I can do. Like, they'll notice, they could tell whether or not you know your stuff.
I could see that, mostly when you're making something outside of your basic buck of Coke, and you
Exactly.
you can just make other things.
I don't know who drinks vodka Cokes, but
I know a couple people, and I don't understand them whatsoever.
Do you have a favorite drink?
I'm a honey and Coke kind of guy.
Oh, okay, cognac.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, that stuff's dangerous, man. I never have good nights off of Hennessy.
Really? I like my whiskey. That's my liquor of choice.
That's what I have in front of me.
Hey, but what is your drink of choice?
Hopefully every bartender in Chico will say kettle soda lemon, or if I'm just doing a shot, it'll be a double Hornitos with an OJ back. Yeah.
Oh God, sorry. Tequila makes me squirm.
Really, really. I'm sorry.
No, it's just years of it doesn't help.
Yeah, well, that's one thing you got to do is get good tequila, because the bad stuff like Jose Cuervo, man, that'll ruin you for a good 5 years.
No. What I first started drinking, to start out, I'm not a big beer drinker. I have yet to find one I can enjoy. So I go with mixed drinks and like hard ciders.
Okay.
So those are like my go-tos when going out, because I live in the area where it's like wine country, so it's like a bunch of like craft beers and like wine tasting areas. So it's hard to go out there when you have these options, but I have yet to find something that like I can have this. There's been a couple, but nothing like in the beer family.
Sure.
So
nothing that really caught your attention.
Nothing.
Okay.
So
everyone has their taste. So.
Exactly, but in my early days, it was your basic just pure tequila and Coronas. So
Ooh.
Exactly, right?
There you go. So, that's a force to be reckoned with, I tell you that much.
But thinking about it, like I said, like just hearing the word tequila or any tequila brand, it just makes me shiver. And,
really? It raises my heart rate when I hear tequila.
I don't know. It's probably just like memory and not fun.
Sure.
I can actually tell you a quick fun story. So it's your basic party, halfway, everyone's taking shots. It's time for me to take my shot since it's, everyone's taking their turns. My turn. It's a full, they have these 3-ounce shot glasses. Like, oh, God. So it's my turn. I go for it. And I'm at the point where I can't just down them. I have to, I'm just, slowly drinking it, gulp, gulp, gulp.
Oh, God.
And I'm at that point where, I just can't anymore. Someone says some of the stupidest and I don't know why I laughed, but during that moment, that tequila shot came out of my nose.
Ooh, wow. How'd that burn?
Oh God, it was the worst feeling ever, and the after effects are not fun.
Oh, I
So,
bet.
so, so for anyone who doesn't know, the second you sneeze out tequila and probably any, I would say, clear alcohol or any alcohol in general, I would think, you're gonna smell metal for the next couple days.
Is that right? I don't think I've ever had alcohol come out of my nose.
Yeah, like you've smelled. Have you ever smelled like the scent of metal, just pure metal?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Then think of that, and I had that for about 3 days. That's
So
all I could
does
smell.
it just burn the nerves that are going through your nostril
I
to like
believe so.
help your sense of smell? And wow.
It was like, oh God, it was horrible. The moment was horrible, and the next 3 days were horrible, just for scent wise. Like I couldn't even smell proper food. It was just scent of metal
Oh.
for some reason.
Yeah, well, I hope I never get there.
Like, make sure no one makes you laugh when you're taking shots. Let's go with that.
Yeah, I might just spit it out. I'm not sure actually what I would do in that situation, but
But no, yeah, that was a fun time. But no, yeah, like as far as like drink wise, I kind of stay to the whiskeys. I've been dabbling in Japanese whiskey recently. God, that stuff's expensive.
some hibiki.
Have some Satori actually right now in front of me.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, I never got too into them. The one that I do remember the most drinking from this bar in Chico was called Hibiki, and that one it was good, but to me it was kind of smoky, and for some reason I don't like that, so I don't drink it.
So you drink it like do you drink it straight like with ice or?
I just drink it neat. So neat is just by itself, and then or I guess you call it straight.
Okay.
And then rocks, with ice.
Okay, so the only term that I got from there was rocks, but I didn't know about neat. I should remember that.
Yeah, so you can like go up to a bartender and be like, "Hey, I want 3 fingers of Satori neat," and they'll literally like they won't put 3 fingers up, but like you like signal that to them, be like, "Hey, I want 3 fingers of Satori," and it's literally like as tall as your 3 fingers.
Oh, that's cool. I should do that. I gotta remember that.
You could just be like 2, or I don't know why people use that as a measurement. I don't know bar history too much, but I would just be like, "Hey, give me a double."
Interesting.
But I don't know. There's so much bar lingo out there, and I don't even know all of it.
It's just a fun fact, though.
Yeah, exactly. There's
So
some good stuff.
So you guys, anyone listening out there, you guys know how to now order some interesting way to order a drink.
Exactly. I don't know how many people are drinking Satori neat, though. You might be one of 2 people I know that would drink that.
Oh no, I drink it on the rocks.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, most of my whiskeys are all on the rocks. Like,
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
No, I was just going to say really quick, that's one thing that might be good to throw in there. I like for the general public to know certain things sometimes. And one of those that just kind of popped into my head is one thing that you asked, what should everybody know kind of about the bar industry? Or I think that was the question, something like that. Just to add to that, don't ever be embarrassed by what you like to drink. Like, so some people will make fun of you, right? Because you have ice in your whiskey, and they'll be like, "Oh, you water it down." And it's like, no, like I like it. I like the way it is like this, right? And it doesn't matter if if you're a guy and you like a, pink Fruity Loop drink, or if you're a girl and you drink just whiskey straight from the bottle. I've seen way too many people not do things because they don't want to be looked at differently. And it's really weird because you should just do what makes you happy. So for anyone listening, please do what makes you happy as far as ordering drinks.
Mostly when they're costing you an arm and a leg at that point.
Yeah, especially, right? It's like if everyone's ordering a beer and you're at a really nice place, so it's in a really expensive beer, and you want to fit in, so you go and order beer, but you hate beer. It's like, don't do that. Like, go ahead and get your lemon drop if you want a lemon drop. Don't be embarrassed. Yeah, I mean it's a bar, and everyone has their their taste. Especially when you're wasting it on something on a drug like alcohol, it's like you may as well like it.
Exactly. Just enjoy what you're drinking at that point. Yeah.
So
No, I that was kind of like my early days. That's kind of why I was drinking beer. That was the thing, right? When you're in the social circle, you're just drinking whatever everyone else is drinking.
exactly, and you also don't have a lot of options when you're that
That
young.
too.
'Cause we're poor and we're also underage, and it's the worst time ever.
Yeah. And but you have more options now, and basically like the internet's out there to kind of give you an idea that because there's been so many different for me there's been so many different options for drinks that I've seen as far as mixed drinks is concerned, because like whiskey is my go-to. I would say vodka is my next for at least the liquor type. Like I go for what is it? I know it's different for different people, but it's something called the purple haze.
Purple haze.
Yeah, it's shoot, I'm trying to remember what it is. It's like it's vodka. But it's like I forget what the blue alcohol is. I think
The
it's hypnotic.
curacao.
There it is, that one.
Well, hypnotic is a blue liquor as well, but
And what was
curacao
the?
is just like it's actually an orange flavor. Weirdly
I think
enough,
it's that one.
it's what you used to make like AMFs and stuff like that.
Yes, it's that then. So it's that, and there's one other alcohol, and it kind of makes the drink like a nice, not deep purple, but a good purple.
Actually, I'm looking it up here now
Okay.
because I'm curious. Because I feel like I've heard that before, but there's also Purple Rain. So when you said that, it made me think of Black Superman. Have you ever had
Oh,
that?
what is that?
Well, the way we made, I mean, everyone makes, when a cocktail has more than like 5 ingredients, everyone makes them completely different. That's my understanding of it.
Then was there I would say a house drink that you guys would?
I mean, I've created cocktails and stuff like that, but I'm sure, at some bar in the next city or state, like somebody's put those same 4 ingredients together and called it something else. It's not like you trademark it or anything, but I'm looking at this purple haze now, and it's telling me 1 part vodka, 1/3 part lime juice, 1/4 raspberry liqueur, which is where you get your purple, and then 1/4 simple syrup, which is just water and sugar.
Okay.
But does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Because we had the everyone loves ordering the Black Superman.
So tell me what is this Black Superman?
Well, like I said, everyone makes them completely different, but my initial understanding was that a Black Superman was an AMF, more or less, which is you have your 4 clears. So you have vodka, rum, and you use clear tequila and gin, right? And you'll do like half a shot of each, or I mean, however much you want, right? You portion it out accordingly, and some triple sec. Some people put this all in like a Long Island mix. That's basically what a Long Island is. And you put that over ice, and then what did I do? God, it's been so long since I made an AMF. Pineapple juice, and I think I put like a little bit of Sprite in there, something like that, and some sweet and sour maybe. I don't know. If anyone's listening to this and I got this wrong, I'm sorry. But anyway, the Black Superman, the way we made him, I just added raspberry liqueur to all that. So it was just a sugary shit show that also got you wasted. And it was the worst thing ever because the way that it was rung up in price at this very high volume bar I worked at was like $5. So that's all anyone would order. And everything's sticky and everything's purple and your life's just a shit show. Your hands at the end of the day are just gross because you're grabbing maraschino cherries and putting all this fruit in there as well. So it's just it wasn't a fun time.
Shoot, $5 for all that?
Yeah, it's ridiculous, right?
I would have that would have been my go-to first, two, probably third drink.
Yeah, but then you're gonna get the hangover from all the sugar and.
That's true, but I've been well. My younger days, I would have been fucked. These
Yeah.
days, I've kind of regulated myself so I know where I'm at, and I've been drinking a lot of water in between sessions, so it helps a lot.
I've been getting better at drinking water, but then that just like sobers me up and I just drink more alcohol. So I'm actually drinking more than usual because before, right, if I'm drinking no water, then I'm just like, oh, I'm drunk and I'm blacked out and I'm going to bed. But now I'm like drinking water in between and I'm like, oh, I'm awake and now I can go longer so I can drink more. And like I've literally learned nothing. So I'm working on it.
No, it's different for different people, and for me, I'm trying to extend my time with the people and not be. Well, I've never been the first one out, but I don't want to
See,
be the third
that's
or
the one
fourth.
thing. That's one thing I really hate is when you're drinking with people, and then all of a sudden you just wake up and you're like, "What happened last night?" I don't know if you've experienced this, but
A few times.
I experience it often, more often than I would like to admit, and definitely less than I used to. But I, and then I go out and I have the intention of, okay, well, tonight's gonna be a good night. I want to like remember everything. And I'm like, all right. And then, and then I wake up and I'm like, shit, it happened again. It's the worst thing ever.
Then let me ask you this: what drink or shot or alcohol do you try to avoid that you feel that may cause that? Because I have one that I know if that's what I drink that night, it's gonna end up. That's them for me. Like I know
So
what's gonna happen.
it's not so much because I'll drink anything. It's just a matter of like mixing, and I
Yeah.
will meet people throughout the night because I always talk to everyone. I always take care of the bartenders, and we do our thing, and so I get them to take shots, and everyone else drinks differently, so I'm taking shots with a bunch of different people. So this guy wants to take a shot of tequila, this guy wants to take a shot of whiskey, this guy wants to take a shot of vodka, and so I'm just mixing everything, and then that's what gets me. It's not just one specific alcohol.
Makes sense.
What about you?
Then for me, like I said, for sure tequila is on that list, but it's not the one. Because after the first 3 shots of tequila, I'll just start drinking tequila. Like that weird like what is it? Tingle of don't do it is gone by that point. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
just
you got
drink.
over the hump. You like it's already
Yeah,
in your
yeah.
body. It's
Like
like,
all right, it's time. Just continue. But it's it is Jägermeister. Like
I was just thinking that. That's hilarious.
so yeah, that so my
Why is
group
that?
in my group in particular are really into Jaeger bombs. So the second someone brings a bottle of Jaeger and like, okay, don't drink one. It'll be over. And I know that for sure. Because
So just after one, or is it just like a chain reaction?
it's a chain reaction because I know that one is not gonna be one.
Of course, right? Like
So it's
I don't want to drink just one shot of Jaeger.
so and mostly with the my group in particular, it's like it's not just one bottle of Jaeger. It's like they bring the big one, the big ass one. I don't know the size of the bottles off the top of my head.
So basically, most liquors, just to give you a general idea, is that you have your. I don't know how small I should go. You ever go to Beverages and More? Do you guys have Beverages and More over there?
No,
Bevmo?
no,
Oh, you don't have a Bevmo? It's like an alcohol retailer. I don't know.
no. We have just general liquor stores.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm glad I asked. Anyways, but you've seen little mini alcohol bottles, right?
Oh yeah, the little tiny guys. Yeah,
Yeah, little tiny guys. Probably like 3 ounces in there, something like that.
yeah.
Um, so anyway, those are like the smallest, and then you go to the next step up, and it's called technically a flask. And I'm trying to remember how many milliliters that is. Not sure, but anyway, the next one up is a 750 milliliter, and that's called a fifth.
Okay, I know that one.
And then whenever you go to a bar and order a drink, and all those bottles behind the bar, those are all liters. It's called a bar liter because you can't use fifths behind the bar.
Interesting.
And then you obviously know the handle, which is the next one up. That's what you were talking about, and
Okay.
that's 1.75 liters.
Okay. Yeah.
And so you can't use those, but a lot of bars that are like shitty, they will take the handles because it's a lot cheaper to buy handles, and then pour them into the liters. I'm not going to name any bars, but it definitely happens.
Okay.
But anyway, that's just like the basic outline of the sizes.
Good
But
to
anyway,
know.
so you guys would take down those, I guess we call them handles, even though there's actually no handle on the Jaeger bottle. But
No, yeah, someone would bring. It wouldn't be one. It wouldn't be two. It'll probably be three of those big bottles.
oh Jesus, you can
Yeah.
like get an army blacked out or something.
Yeah. So there's usually about eight or 10 of us, but even then, like that plus energy drink is not fun. So
I mean, I'm just trying to do the math on that. On 8 to 10 of you guys on 3 handles, that's just.
I'm trying to think of the math in my head at the moment, but at the end, I don't know. I don't know at that point, and we're still drinking beer and stuff. So, but yeah, you can see why it's kind of scary when I see someone bring a Jaeger and like, okay, it's gonna be one of those nights.
You're already in your head. The decision's already made.
Yes, it is. So yeah, that's my finisher. I do have one quick question, or like this, not really a myth or rumor, more like of mixing beer, alcohol, and wine, because that it kind of happens with when I go out or we do grouping, is people bring whatever they want, and we are in like wine country, so people really like their wine, and I'm for the most part I'm not a big fan, but I will try it. And some people that I hang out with, they always say that they have the worst hangovers because they've drank all 3. But for the most part, I've never had that issue. Like, what would your opinion be on this mixture of like 3 different types?
Well, I guess it's twofold. The first thing is when you're feeling a hangover, all that is a withdrawal from the alcohol. That's what the hangover is, right? So just like you withdraw from any other drug you do. And it has their own way of telling you how much, your body has its own way of telling you how much it hates you. This is my understanding of it, right? This is all anecdotal. And this is what I've heard and talked about with people. But so my understanding is what I just said, that it's your body's way of telling you, you suck, and your body's withdrawing from it. Second of all, I've also experienced a lot of hangover from drinking a lot of sugar, and there's various amounts of sugar when you start throwing in drinks like wine and beer, and how much Jaeger you're drinking, right? Like Jaeger's just, all I taste is sugar when I drink Jaeger. So that's definitely a big part of it for me. I don't know the exact science behind hangovers. Maybe I should do some research.
Okay, interesting. Good to know.
So yeah, I mean, I usually try to stay away from the sugars first and foremost. And as far as the alcohol consumption is, like, if we're talking you're going to get hangovers from alcohol consumption, then I'm going to get a hangover 10 for 10 times, because I'm not just going to drink like 2 beers and then be done with the night because I'm afraid of a hangover.
There you go.
So
then we've been talking kind of our favorite drinks. What would you say your least favorite or ever like worst thing you've ever drank and never going to drink again?
Oh God, I've tried so many stupid ass drinks. Well, I'm kind of over. You know what I tried was the seasonal Jaeger. Have you had that?
No.
It's like a vanilla Jaeger. And I remember just drinking. I remember being in North Dakota with my father, and we just went after it on a bottle at this bar. Yeah, it's called Jaeger Spice. It's vanilla Jaeger. It's the worst thing ever. And
okay, good to know.
I don't enjoy that whatsoever.
I was about to try it until you said no. Okay.
Well, no, that's just me. I mean, I don't even like regular Jaeger. I mean, I'll do Jaeger bombs and stuff, but like I don't like go to the bar and like, oh, I want Jaeger. Like, it's more of like, if somebody's putting it in my face, I'm just not going to say no.
Exactly.
But I mean, teach their own. You might want to try it. For me, it's just everything I don't want in alcohol, because I like Kettle One. Like that's like my vodka. Hanger One, Kettle One,
Okay.
Beluga, Belvedere, and so that's just like to a lot of people that's just like rubbing alcohol, but to me that's like good alcohol to me. And so when you throw in all these sugars and flavors and then like the thickness and it's a no go for me.
I got an interesting question, but after this. So the one liquor that I'll stay away from now on is Ouzo. The worst thing I've ever bought.
What is it?
Ouzo. It is a licorice flavored alcohol. It's Greek.
Oh, Ouzo.
Yeah,
So like Sambuca.
I believe so.
I dabbled with some black Sambuca and it just reminded me of Jaeger and it was not fun.
No,
But yeah, the Romana bottle.
I think so.
I had to look it up, but yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I'm
So
not a fan either. I agree with you. It's
no,
horrible.
yeah, I remember someone told me that it was a good bottle. This is back when you're buying different things from different people, letting them like, what's good. And someone told me Ouzo. I'm like, okay, why not? I bought the bottle, opened it. Like you get that shiver sometimes when you smell alcohol
Oh
for the
yeah,
first time.
yeah.
I'm like, okay, like it's black licorice. Well, I don't hate it, but I don't like it. But let's see. Like usually, if when I throw a party, like a bottle will go by the end of the night. This bottle of Ouzo took 6 entire parties to get rid of.
It's like the
Dude,
last resort drink.
kind of, yeah. It was, but at some point, it just became the punishment for games. So like, you lose, you drink Ouzo.
So I've had Ouzo probably once in my life, but if it's anything like Sambuca, uh, then I've had Sambuca a multitude of times. What I will say about so it's part of the aperitif family, and what I will say about aperitifs is Fernet. Have you had Fernet?
No.
Okay, so Ouzo's mostly Greek. I'm seeing here, and Fernet is a drink that I drink, and it's from Italy. And do you know what an aperitif is?
No.
So an aperitif, to my knowledge, is like an after-dinner kind of digestive drink that you would drink to settle your stomach with all the the food you were putting in there, and or even at the end of like a drinking night, like if you were drinking like a bunch of crazy alcohol all night and you drink that, it kind of like settles your stomach. And so the Fernet's part of the Amaro family, and it's made up of like over 200 herbs and spices and stuff like that. And so it makes you think a little bit of like Jaeger, but less sugar. So it's mostly like herby, very herbal. And so you'll drink
Okay.
this, and everyone I know hates it. I have like a couple good friends that we drink a lot of this stuff with. And it started as like we would go to this hipster bar like often and drink that because that's what all the hipsters drank. And now it became something that now we actually like it. Before we didn't like particularly like it. And I don't know, I would if you ever come across it, it's huge here in San Francisco and this area. I mean, I'm surprised that you don't know what it is being up there by Portland.
What is it again? I'm gonna
It's
remember
called
this.
Fernet.
Fernet. Oh, I
It's
remember this.
Fernet. Maybe you've seen the bottle, Fernet Branca.
All right. Doesn't hurt to try something new.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what I was saying. So you might get that little flavor of like black licoriceness from it, but not as much as you would get with the Ouzo.
Might be worth the risk. But yeah.
Yeah. If not, you could just say, some guy in your podcast made you try it.
So okay, so the question I had was in your opinion, what are some of the more overrated like the way like bottles are, you get, your quote unquote top shelf stuff. Like what do you feel sometimes is overrated when buying liquor in general?
Well, if I'm going to speak to a specific alcohol, I will always say Grey Goose and Patron do not deserve to be top shelf liquors or considered top shelf liquors. So Grey Goose is from France, and they've been doing their thing for quite a while, and everyone loves them, and the French are all, what's the word, pretentious, I guess, about it.
No, we had a guy who was a big Grey Goose. Or actually, my brother-in-law used to be a big Grey Goose. That was his thing, and we would always have to have it. God, that bottle was expensive. When we
And
had
don't get me wrong, I'll drink it, and I'll drink it over well alcohol, but I just don't believe it. I don't believe that it should be considered a top shelf. And then as far as Patron's concerned, same thing. It's just, to me, it just tastes low quality, right? Like, I'm not talking about like in a margarita or like with salt and lime taking shots while you're already drunk. I'm like, no, just sit there sober and like just drink the alcohol and like swish around in your mouth and try it. And I think it's garbage. Some people might disagree, but the people that I've seen that drink the most Patron and Grey Goose know the least amount about their alcohols.
they're just drinking it because it's the name.
It's a brand, right? And the brand's doing its job, and it's doing a good job because it's still a good brand, and people pay top dollar for it everywhere. You go to like, big clubs in Vegas, like their well is top shelf liquor, which is like Grey Goose or Patron. But you're also paying like $50 a drink, so it doesn't really matter what they put there.
True. Then I would say for people who, like, say they're trying to host their next party, and they want to get their vodkas, their tequilas, their whiskeys and bourbons. What would you say are some bottles that you would suggest to get that are reasonable quality and not like overblown prices?
Well, I certainly believe in Tito's vodka. It's handmade vodka. It's out of Texas, and it's decently priced. And you get a handle for under $30 if you go to Costco or Bevmo. Do you guys have Costco up there?
We do have Costco.
Okay, just making sure. Yeah, it's a reasonably priced vodka, and it's good. I believe it's better than Grey Goose. I don't believe it's better than Belvedere or Beluga or Hangar One, which are my other favorites. But it's good, and I'll drink it and I'll shoot it. It also depends on what you're doing at the party, right? Like if you're making mixed drinks, like Smirnoff is like 6 times distilled, and it's actually not the worst vodka ever. So if you're making mixed drinks and I don't know, maybe you're a 21-year-old and you aren't pretentious about your vodka like I am, then you could be just fine buying a $10 bottle of Smirnoff. But honestly, it depends on what you're doing and who you are. So Jameson's kind of overrated now. I mean, it's still good, and everyone drinks it as far as Irish whiskeys are concerned. But Tullamore Dew is a great whiskey. Then you'll pay a little bit less. You'll pay a little bit less for it. It's just another Irish whiskey. Tullamore Dew.
Gotta look that one up.
Yeah, Tullamore Dew is great. It's like in a kind of like a rectangular bottle thing. And then the other Irish whiskey you got is Bushmills, which I'm not really a fan of, so I won't speak of that. Gin. I'm not a fan. I don't like people are like, oh, Bombay Sapphire.
Oh God, no. Yeah.
I'm not a Bombay guy. I'm more of a Tanqueray guy. It's got that piney taste. But I've been finding some cool organic gins, not gyms, gins at the. I just got one the other day. It's called Knob Hill. It's like a Safeway, but for white people. I'm just kidding. But pretty much. Anyway, I got this good organic gin. I forget the name of it, but definitely, just try. Don't go to the bottom of the shelf and get the plastic bottles, but maybe go to the first glass bottle on the second shelf or something like that. But don't buy just because of the brand name. That's for certain.
There you guys go. A couple of good suggestions and a few tips when like trying to pick out some stuff for your next shindig. But yeah, I think that's I learned a lot. That was intriguing. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good talk.
Yeah. So, is there anything you wanna ask me, or is there anything else you wanna talk in particular?
Well, Not sure, actually. Does your name pronounce Jesus or Jesus?
So I introduced myself as Jesus because it's more memorable. Everyone knows who Jesus is.
Of course.
Most of my friends call me Jesus. My parents call me Jesus. So it's just kind of how it is. It depends
But like
on.
when they named you, right? Like your birth certificate, they're like, oh, this is Jesus.
It's Jesus. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So is that like you guys are like Mexican descent
Yes.
or?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're Mexican.
I'm half Mexican.
Okay.
Yeah, my last name is Bostock, but that's obviously on my dad's side, so that's the German side.
German and Mexican.
My mom's
Interesting.
full 100% Mexicano, yeah.
That's an interesting blend. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's what everyone says. I don't know.
Sure, there's always been a joke in our group. If like the best drinker would be an Irish Mexican.
Yeah, and I could agree with that.
That's the kind of the run joke
Or maybe consider an Irish Russian.
Ooh,
Doesn't that seem
wait.
little intense?
Yeah, actually, that would. Whew, God, that would like be a bear. Like, damn.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's kind of. I wouldn't want to drink them under the table for sure. But yeah. So no, thinking. I'm trying to think of any other questions or like at the top of my head. And unless there's something in particular you want to ask.
I don't think I have any off the top of my head. I mean, I'd like to get you on my podcast on the other end, and I want to dig into a little bit about the whole podcasting experience, actually.
No, yeah. So then we'll start closing off this, and then we'll head over to your thing. So.
Well, we don't have to do it tonight.
Oh, okay.
I have to. Usually, my whole thing is I get a list of questions prepared. I will send them over, and then you get to kind of check them out just to kind of know what's coming. But then the conversation usually manifests its own questions as well from there. But just so you kind of get a gist of where we're trying to go with it. And then maybe you also could be prepared for whatever questions I may throw at you that you might not have immediate access to the answer to or something like that.
Okay.
So, but yeah.
All right. Then I'll.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I cut you off.
No, I was kind of going to help transition there. So, I guess I did have a question. So, this is the Convoluted Podcast, correct?
Yes.
So, how'd you come up with that name?
So okay. So we're in our third season of the show. Though the way I consider the seasons is the show originally was kind of more of a topic show, like we talked about different topics and news as a group. The scheduling kind of screwed up a little bit, and it's hard to get everyone together and things like that.
Sure.
So our episodes kind of started being pushed a little further and further. So come second season, when we're like finally getting our like an actual timetable set when we can do stuff, things happen like in the background, family and work and stuff. So season 2 doesn't last that long. And I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I like during season 2 we did a couple interviews, discussions as a group with other people, like we're doing right now, and I really enjoyed that. The reason it was called the Convoluted Podcast was, if you listen to any of the early stuff, it's honestly like convoluted. There's like the topics kind of don't fit together. Like if you listen from beginning to end, you can kind of follow what's happening, but it's like everywhere. Like it's all mishmashed.
Okay,
like
I see.
It's it's entertaining, but yeah, it's not.
Well, I hope we weren't too convoluted here.
Oh no, we stayed on topic for the most part, but I enjoyed our conversation. It was fun to listen, hear you out on some of your opinions on alcohol in particular, because when you're with within your friend group and you've been drinking the same, you kind of already know what everyone's used to. So when you're getting someone else's opinion outside of that, it kind of delves into other, like, more intriguing alcohols out there that you probably never heard of.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, I have 2 on my list right now that I'm going to try out.
Is it Fernet?
Fernet and the Irish whiskey.
Oh, Tullamore, yeah.
Yes, so I have
Certainly
those
try
2.
that.
So I'm going to try those guys out. And, but yeah, that's kind of the reason it's the convoluted podcast. It was just really convoluted in the beginning, but it's a little bit more stationary. But we do still have the convoluted part now, as you'll see as we finish up the closing of this podcast. So, so let's kind of just close this up and get out into the closing.
Sounds good.
All right. So, like you asked, and like I said, we are the Convoluted Podcast, and we like our guests to share a story of one of the most weirdest, strangest, most convoluted thing that has ever happened, ever occurred, or you have ever done in your life.
Okay, so you did tell me to think of something, and I have 2 stories that I can tell. Now, the first one, I will give you just a keyword, and I'll give you a keyword for both, and we'll see which one I should tell. So the first one is going to be witch doctor, and that one is probably more convoluted, but it's short. And the second one is S.W.A.T.
What?
And that one is less convoluted, but it might make for a better story. But they're still relatively short. Not a lot of weird stuff has happened to me, to be honest.
No, you're more than welcome to share both of them if you like.
Well, okay, I'll tell the witch doctor one first.
Go for it.
Okay, so basically, when I was a young lad, I had a lot of nightmares, and I was a real wimp, and I would wake up, cold sweats in the middle of the night, and freak out. And I grew up in sharing like a bunk bed with my sister. Like we were in the same room.
Okay.
And so I always had someone there. But then when I started, sleeping alone, I got my own room and I had to be a big boy. I wasn't so good at it. And then I would sleep with my mom. It was horrible. Anyway, so when I did have to sleep by myself, finally, they turned into night terrors. And I don't know if anyone knows the difference between nightmares and night terrors, but basically, instead of just waking up and realizing you're in a nightmare, you wake up and you still think you're in it, and you're screaming and running around, and it's just hell for a few minutes until your parents wake up and come and grab you. So I was having night terrors, and they just kept happening, and they wouldn't stop. And I don't know what they were for. I guess I was scared of, whatever it is a kid is scared of, monsters or something like that. And anyway, so we go on a family vacation. I told you I'm half Mexican, right? Mm-hmm. So we go to Mexico, and I have a bunch of family there. But I don't really remember a lot about my childhood, and maybe this witch doctor has something to do with it. But my mom spoke of my problem with my old Mexican grandmother who only speaks Spanish. And, once all these girls start talking in their little circles, all this stuff comes out. I mean, there's probably guys there too for that matter, but I couldn't hear any of it because I didn't really know Spanish that well back then. And next thing I know, I'm in a car going to this really weird part of Mexico, and they stripped me of my clothing. They put me on a couple blankets with candles around and all this, some crosses, and I'm in my underwear, spread out in the middle of this road on these blankets, and there's everyone around me, and I'm just what the fuck is going on? And this witch doctor lady, it seemed was doing her thing and trying to get the demons out of me or whatever it was, because they thought I was messed up. And it was pretty interesting. Like I said, I don't remember much of it, but I've never had a night terror since then.
Interesting. You know what's
I it's really weird. I certainly have nightmares all constantly, but I've never had a night terror like where I'm up screaming and like moving around.
what's funny for what's funny about this situation in particular is for anyone listening, that's probably like, wow, that's so weird. But for me, that's that's kind of normal.
You're like, I've seen 10 witch doctors.
But I get the general idea because like you said, we both have Hispanic backgrounds, and like a lot of my family, like still.
For all intents and purposes, I'm a white dude. Like like my skin's white. My English is. I don't have an accent or anything. I don't. When I tell people I'm Mexican, they don't believe me because I don't look Mexican. Even my mom's really white, and so is my grandmother. For some reason, I think there might be something else crawling up in there, but
Stronger Spaniard blood.
yeah, I was thinking that. So it's weird. So just me personally coming at this, like it wasn't even normal to me. That like weirded me out, and so I thought that was weird. But then I also thought it was more weird that I never had a night terror again. And then now that I'm older, I'm like, well, maybe that's just psychological. But,
that could be, but no, yeah. Even now, when like when I first moved out and we got our first place, the first thing we did before we moved in was my mom literally like did just some religious chants and did the incense thing and then put like a little charm over the doors and. You know, it's kind of those things. Just it's like it for me. It's a norm. Like even though it's funny because even though most of my family is Christian, like Catholic and all that, they still have these old traditions that fall beforehand and all this. Like,
sure.
More. And it's interesting to think about that. So when you were telling the story, it's like that makes sense for me.
You're like that's not too crazy.
No, because like one of my aunts like. Whenever one of my siblings or were sick and something we just doctors couldn't figure out, we would go to one of my aunts and she would do these weird little like rituals, like I would say, and a few days later it would be gone, you know, and it would be always something like a bad spirit or something. So it's
sure, yeah, that they believe in it deep. And let me just set the record straight. Like I don't believe in demons or spirits or anything like that. So it's even extra weird that it's not happening anymore, which leads me to believe that it's mostly psychological.
So,
but seeing as how I don't remember much of it, I also maybe think that's bullshit too. But we'll see. I don't know.
Hey, that's true. But I do blame also like keeping these rituals. Oh, not keeping the rituals, but more like my siblings and everything. They're really into the big ghost hunting stuff and all that, and like that's like cool to watch, but like I really don't have an interest anymore in it. And they always like we live in an area, there's a couple of haunted houses, and I tell them, let's go, I want to go see a ghost, you know, it'll be fun. Like, no, you don't want that. And the one thing the one thing I joke about is like, and they always say like, you don't want to bring it into the house. Like, there's nothing going to be in the house. This place is blessed. You guys not remember? This is why we don't seek bad things, because every time we go somewhere they like put some weird charm in it. Nothing ever happens, and it's really boring.
Exactly, yeah.
But maybe that's why. But either way, so
you do you say Bloody Mary 3 times in a dark bathroom at the mirror.
I've done that before, but it doesn't work. Nope, it doesn't work. Like I said, like your house is protected by charms. Nothing can come in at that.
Not
point.
Even if you summon the demons themselves, they just
think of it like a protective circle and stuff like that. Nothing can come from the outside in, only the inside out. So whatever.
That's what I'm saying. You're summoning them from inside, but I'm not sure how all the spirituality works. So.
No, we can probably figure out. We could probably just come up with our own concept at that point and just be making up things.
Exactly.
But that's a cool story. I'm not gonna lie, mostly because it throws back for me some ideas from my past too, and also just very odd. So what's this S.W.A.T story?
So the S.W.A.T story, this is a little shout out to my buddy Buck here. who is the main character of the story. I am merely a byproduct. Nonetheless, was it convoluted because we were both very drunk. Now, of course, we're in Chico, California, and we're drinking, naturally, as Buck and I always drink. He's my drinking buddy. He's my party buddy. We have a great time. And we get kind of drunk. Maybe I should back this up a little bit. My buddy Buck owned a weapon. It was a gun. And, you know, people own guns, and that's fine. Now, he happened to have it with him, so when we went out to go drink, we decided that the best idea was to not bring the gun with us, which, thank God. So we leave the gun at my house, and that's great. So we go drink, and we're at the bars, and then we stumble back to the house, and it's probably about 12 in the afternoon at this point. We're pretty drunk already. And, you know, this is all Chico standard, of course. Some people are like, whoa, drunk at 12 in the afternoon. It's like, hey, it was Christmas vacation. Anyway. Actually, was it Christmas vacation? No, you got me thinking. Not sure. I might have to check. So anyway, stumbling over to the house, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, December 29th, that's when it was. Sorry, I had to check.
No, go for it.
And we get to the house, and Buck wants to take his gun out. And I'm like, okay, you do whatever you want. Like, I'm not your dad. I'm not going to tell you what you can and cannot do, even though we're at my house. But I was only renting the house. I didn't own it. So he pulls the gun out, and then we're out in the back. And I'm like, I was a big Snapchatter. I don't know. Do you guys have Snapchat over there?
I think it's worldwide, yes.
I'm just kidding. I played off that Costco joke. But anyway, or the Bevmo joke. But anyway, I'm a big Snapchatter, so I Snapchat everything. So I'm like, oh, well, let me Snapchat this. So I like pull it out, and he shoots 3 rounds in the air of the gun. It's like a Glock. It's really loud. I have neighbors. I have people behind me. I have a business in front of me. And we just run inside. I'm like, okay, we have to go. And so we're like, okay, cool. So then we're just chilling, you know. He put his gun's just sitting there. It's like in his pocket or something, right? And we're drinking this like really, really alcoholic eggnog. We just kept drinking. Like, I don't know why we kept drinking, but we just kept drinking. It was a standard, who knows what day it was, Monday. And he calls this girl to come pick him up because he's going to go and have sex with her or something like that. And so I'm like, all right, cool, man. We'll see you later. And I open the door, and he's walking out, and he's got his gun in one hand, and he's got his eggnog in a wine glass in the other. It's alcoholic eggnog. And this girl's across the street, and he's just walking with these things in the middle of the street out. And he's crossing the street, and then I look over to my left, and I see this guy running. And he's like, stop right there. And he's like, got a gun, and he's pointing at the guy. But Buck's so drunk, he doesn't even realize. He like gets in the girl's car. And then I immediately like shut the door and lock it. I'm like, fuck this. And I'm like, shit. And then all of a sudden I get a call on my cell phone. And I look out the window one more time, and it's like 2 like Chico SWAT vans and like 10 cop cars, and they've got Buck pulled out of the car and like handcuffs, face on the ground. And so I have like 10 SWAT guys pointing like M16s at me, and the regular cops pointing their handguns. And they call me on the phone from Buck's phone, and they're like, come outside with your hands up, we know you're in there. And I was like, what the fuck? So I open the door, and I see all these people, and I kept my phone to my ear, is up. And I'm like, holy fuck, what's going on? And I'm really drunk too, so I'm like kind of laughing. I'm like, what, are you not going to shoot me? I didn't do anything wrong. So like, don't be a dumb cop. Don't shoot me. And so I'm like, all right. And then I like, what did I do? I like took the phone and like threw it on the ground because we were like, the call was over. And then I went to like take off my sweatshirt, and because I had like a hoodie on with a zip up. And so I like went to like take it off, and I start right when I moved my hands, everyone was like, "Don't fucking move!" and like freezing. Like you hear the guns kind of like do their thing, and that's when I was like, "Holy shit! Okay, these guys aren't fucking around." So I literally just put my hands behind my head, turn around. They come up and handcuff me, and Buck's handcuffed, and they're kind of talking to us. And I'm like, "Dude, this is literally all that happened. Like, you guys don't need to be here. This is not." I grew up shooting guns from my house in the air all the time. So this is new for me to see this. I didn't realize how intense it was. We did live kind of in a weird neighborhood. But anyway, Buck went to jail. I got uncuffed and then went out and kept drinking or something. I forget. Oh, no, you know what? No, I didn't go out and drink. I hung out at the house, but I had to go pick him up from the police station at like 3 a.m. when they let him out. And that was our night. So not so much convoluted, but nonetheless, it was a little weird for me to experience that. Not everyone experiences that every day. You know, it's the second time I've ever had a gun pointed at me. First time by an officer. So that was fun.
Wow.
So
wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, good times.
Wow, I'm not gonna lie, I was like really like on the edge when you were doing the whole story. Shit. I don't know what to say. I get what happened in the whole situation, but God, just like thinking about being in that scenario. That honestly, if it was me and my friends, we would have been that. Yeah, it would have been really bad. But
one thing to be noted was that we're really extroverted people, and especially when we're drunk, and so we're like sassy a little bit too. So we're like talking to the cops. Like I remember the wine glass that he had in his hand, put it on the ground, and I was like, "Hey, can I just get that wine glass back, man?" And they're like, "Shut up!" And they're like pushing me to the ground, like handcuffed. And I'm like, "Guys, I need that. It's an antique," and like all this stuff. And I was like, "Oh, I don't know why I would say any of this." Like looking back on it now, and I'm like sober. At the moment, I'm like, why are you being so stupid? Like cops fuck up all the time, and they could really mess up your day. And I'm just glad they were good cops and didn't kill me. So
that's a good thing, and I'm glad you're here with us today.
Yeah.
I think like mostly with this day and age and the way things are. But yeah, wow. Thank you for sharing those stories. They were really intriguing. They were odd, and I hope everyone listening had a joy with that. And you guys know not to start shooting up in the air in a residential area.
Probably a good idea
to
not do that.
So we're gonna move into the game show portion of the podcast. So
yes.
Intro music, please. So you chose Would You Rather. So to put it simply, you're going to be put in 2 situations where you're going to have to explain why you would choose one over the other. There are going to be 2 separate scenarios. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
So these are the cards that were pulled for you. The first situation. So, would you rather relive the same day over and over, basically Groundhog Day, or eat Martin Scorsese's eyebrow off his face?
Off of his face? Like I don't get to shave it off first?
No, you gotta eat it off his face.
So how long do I have to live the same day over and over?
Forever.
Forever?
Forever.
Do I know that I'm living it over and over?
No, you do not.
So it's just like
just a horrible nightmare at that point. You're back to your night terrors at that point.
Is it? I was gonna say, is it a good day over and over, or?
Let's I'll be nice and I'll let you choose one of the best days of your life.
I'm gonna live the same day over and over and not know it, and everything's gonna be good. Then
Well, no, you do notice it. You just don't know when it's gonna be over.
Oh, okay. So that would get old really fast.
Yes.
Now, if I could end that just by eating this guy's eyebrow, is he dead or is he alive and like screaming and like gushing blood while I'm chewing this off his face?
The way you get to eat his eyebrow is up to you, but you have to eat it.
So I could shave it, right? I just have to eat it.
You're gonna have to somehow convince
throw it in
this
some
man.
cookies or something. Yeah.
But you gotta somehow. With one, you have to figure out a way to convince the man to do it.
You know, just because you cannot do the same thing over and over every day, even if it is your best day ever, it'll eventually turn into the worst day ever. So I'm gonna have to go with eating the eyebrow. As I'm looking at pictures of it right here on my computer, I'm still saying yes. I'm probably gonna eat his eyebrow.
All right, then there's the man. He's gonna eat Martin Scorsese eyebrow. Then
Let's put a bad taste in my mouth too.
All right. So the second situation. So, would you rather have everyone you don't want to see naked always be naked, or post a free handjob listing on Craigslist and oblige whoever responds every 3 months?
The first one to respond every 3 months?
No, you post the ad on Craigslist every 3 months.
Oh, okay. And then the first one to apply, I just...
Well, whoever agrees to it, yeah, you have to always... Whoever agrees.
And the first one was to see the people naked that I don't want to see naked?
Yes.
Every day or just one day?
That is for life.
You know, if it was like a girl, would it be like she have to like finger people? Or is it just like hand jobs across the board? Like if a girl picked this card, would it still be hand jobs or would it be like fingering? Just curious.
Yeah, it would be fingering.
Okay. I'm just curious to see what would happen.
No,
but
yeah.
But anyway. You know, I don't want to give a hand job to anyone. I mean, unless it was for like an Aston Martin, then yes. But just because I posted a Craigslist ad, because the people that are going to respond to a Craigslist ad for a hand job are going to be the penises I don't want to be jobbing with my hand. Right? Yeah. Like, I'm not getting like Brad Pitt on Craigslist, like, hey, come, jerk me off. Because then I'd like, probably do it even if I didn't have to. I'm just kidding. So probably, yeah. I mean, I guess I'd look at the gross naked people that I really don't want to see. Only knowing that I'm doing this because the latter would be doing hand jobs.
Yes, that would be true.
Yeah, so I would have to go with the naked.
All right, then the worst way to get X-ray vision is your choice. All right, thank you. All right, thank you for playing the game. I'm glad that you kind of worked that puzzle in your head, because I'm not gonna lie, those are the second one's a little bit more like you're trying to really figure out what you don't want forced upon yourself. So
exactly.
So there you go. So I want to thank everyone who's been listening. I want to thank my guests for taking the time to come and talk with us. And you want to shout out anything on your end?
Yeah, I'll plug a couple things. If anyone wants to, I haven't posted the content yet, but I've recorded a couple podcasts. I'm recording 2 tomorrow. Hope to record one with you soon, Jesus. But if you guys do want to follow for future reference, on Twitter, it's at Bostock Pod. So that's BOSSTALK POD. The Bostock is a play off of my last name, Bostock. And so that's where you get that. You go to my website at anthonybostock.com, ANTHONYBOSTOCK.com. I'm going to be posting podcasts on there. Or you could follow me on Instagram at Bostock11. Bostock's spelled the same way as my website. So, yeah, thanks for having me on, dude. I appreciate it.
All right, then, everyone, thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.
See you later.